Welcome back once again to Recovery Coast to Coast, America's nightly voice for recovery. Great to have you with us tonight. We are on the road, not too far away from Seattle. We're across the bridge in Bellevue. It is the annual Far-West Music Conference. We have been here, going back to Eugene, Oregon, and then we were down in Orange County, Oakland, California. The conference moves around, and it stays in an area 2 years, and then it goes on. It's going to be in Woodland Hills in a couple of years, but this year and next year in Bellevue, Washington. An old friend stopped by, Britta Lee Shain. She's been on the program before, and we welcome her back. And you got a new book.
I do.
The timing is wonderful because it's about a guy by the name of Bob Dylan.
I know. I planned it this way. Not. Yeah, very exciting. And my book was published by a wonderful publisher out of the UK called Jawbone that only does books about music.
Oh.
So about Van Morrison
Right.
and P.F. Sloan and lots of luminaries. And we worked on it for a year. And it came out May 3rd.
Title of the book?
Seeing the Real You at Last, Life and Love on the Road with Bob Dylan.
Wow. How long were you with Bob Dylan?
Well, I knew him as a friend
Mhm.
for a year and a half.
You toured with him.
Before things started to get crazy.
Mm.
But I did not technically tour with him. You know, I wasn't a musician back then.
But
I was a
you-
prose writer.
Right, but you
Yeah.
traveled with him.
Yes, I did travel with him. I was lucky enough to be invited to go on several of the tours from that period.
Tell me about the first time you met him.
Oh my God. Well, the first time I met him was very, very crazy. I was at a friend's house that you can read about in the book, his road manager. And the guy that I was with had a jukebox in the house. And he did not tell me that Bob was coming over. And all of a sudden, he runs back to the jukebox, and I was not in a great mood. There was a full moon and all of this stuff, and I'm sitting in his den by myself, working on a screenplay, and Subterranean Homesick Blues comes on
One of my
the
favorites.
jukebox really loud. This guy had this house was like wired, right? And I just thought, no, not now, really? Now I'm going to meet Bob Dylan. I knew he worked for him. The next thing I knew, Bob was walking into the room, and I think I say like a camel. And you know, blue jeans, and I noticed his boots had heels on them a little bit because he's actually not as tall as I think a lot of people might think. I just remember he smiled at me, and I nearly passed out. So.
And there started the relationship.
Well, in a way, there started the relationship, and I kind of laugh about that too because my friend said, Bob's road manager said, Britta Bob, Bob Britta. That was it. and Bob smiled, and I, you know, was already a lifelong fan.
Wow. Outstanding. The book is available through Amazon, I assume?
Yes, absolutely. Amazon and my website as well. You can get a signed copy. Or my website is Britta Lee Shain booksandmusic.com.
Let's talk about being an adult child of an alcoholic.
Yes, well, you know, I was reflecting on that this morning because I knew I was going to come and speak with you. And one of the things I think really is that my relationship with Bob might not have necessarily occurred if I hadn't been an adult child
Really?
of an alcoholic.
How so, Britta?
Well, because as a child, as an adult child, you learn the tricks of how to cope and how to be loved. And part of that is doing sort of a little dance and being very pleasing,
Sure.
really listening to what the person says and following through with action and all of that. Bob was kind of a combination of both of my parents because my mother was an alcoholic and my father wound up being a diagnosed schizophrenic.
Wow.
And I lived with the two of them out in the middle of nowhere in Topanga Canyon, just me, only child of an alcoholic. So Bob was kind of the perfect combination of those two, two things.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, and if I'd been a healthier young woman, you know, now that 37's young,
Sure it
you
is.
know, I might not have put up with a lot of it. I might have looked at the whole situation a lot more carefully. Because even when I read the book, I look at it and I think, wow, he was pretty obviously a womanizer and very obviously an alcoholic.
Hmm.
And I guess it was that idea that I could fix him.
Yeah.
You know that one, right?
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Britta Lee Shain joining us on Recovery Coast to Coast. You told me about the first time you met him. When was the last time you saw him and spoke with him?
The very last time, I might get these two mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it was at the Roy Orbison tribute
Mm,
when Roy passed
yeah.
away. And I guess I'm so glad you asked about that because, that was a sign of my recovery.
Hmm.
There was a party afterwards, and I, through another friend, had backstage passes. She's mentioned in the book too. And she had a fling with Dylan back in the 70s. So but anyway, she was very excited that he was coming. I, having known him a little, wasn't at all sure that he would come to the backstage party because he can be quite reclusive. But lo and behold, he comes walking into this huge tent. I went over to get his autograph because in all the time I knew him, I never took a picture with him and I'd never asked for his autograph or anything like that. I have lots of other artifacts that are in the book and stuff, but those two things were missing. We didn't have iPhones back then, so we weren't doing the selfie thing. Anyway, he kind of spun around and was because I had him sign my book and he was wearing dark glasses and he didn't acknowledge me. And you know how that feels.
Oh.
And I had a friend watching me and I was just devastated. How could we have spent 2 years as friends
And
together
lovers.
and lovers for part of that time? Well, his side man, Elliot Mintz, who's his publicist and stuff, heard my voice. And apparently he didn't recognize me either because I had really kind of moved on. But he looked at me and goes, Brita? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I'll tell Bob you're here. And he tells Bob. Bob swings around almost like he's doing a two-step at a, square dance or something and goes, Brita, who could forget a face like that? And he immediately does the sort of Warren Beatty thing where he remembers the details of experiences we had together and starts rattling them off to me. And then his son comes to move him to a table, and Bob's kind of like nodding at me in a way that previously I would have interpreted as joining.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself, no, no, not anymore. I'm not going to do this again.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Over.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, good for you. That is a sign of very healthy recovery.
I think so.
Indeed.
And yeah.
I don't want to talk anymore about Bob Dylan. I want to talk about Brita.
Okay.
Tell me about your music.
Well, after knowing Bob Dylan, I met, I had already known Carla Bonoff, and I'd written one
Oh, I love
song for
Carla.
her. She inspired me to write a song, and I think it was before I realized that she was Carla Bonoff in quotes.
Yeah, yeah.
I was so brave. I would play my little innocent songs for her, and I'm happy to report that she just came to one of my book reading signing shows, and she had never seen me perform professionally, and we've been friends for 25 years.
She lives up in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, she's a beautiful house, and she's really artistic
Yeah.
and a lovely, down to earth person. And she loved what I was doing, and she loves this record. And
Wow. The new
yeah.
record is called What the Heart Wants, Britta Lee Shain, and we're going to get a song from that album shortly. But tell me about putting this together and what it means to you.
Well, this was an important record for me in a lot of ways. I did make one previous record. It was early on. I'm somebody who came very late to the music party.
Hmm.
I've only been playing guitar, and now it's kind of embarrassing to say about 15 years. But most of the people that I know, have been playing since they were 16,
Mhm.
which makes them, playing for 45 years
Makes
or
them
whatever.
damn old.
Makes them very, very old.
Makes them-
So I'm really lucky because I get these really good players to come and play with me. But so I use my guitar playing primarily to support the lyrics, but I was always into words.
Yeah.
I wrote short stories when I was in elementary school and stuff.
Do you write poetry?
I didn't write much poetry,
Mm.
but I wrote songs when I was a little kid because my mother was a singer, and my uncle was a music publisher.
Wow.
So I would get all the latest 45s off. Oh God,
Oh
how
my
old am
goodness.
I?
Oh my goodness. Well, I can do you one better. I've got some 78s at home, but we won't
Oh,
go there.
ouch. Okay. Yeah, so this was an important record, and I didn't start out to make it to be a companion to the book, but it turned out that way because back in '87, and I know you don't want to talk about him anymore, but he and I did co write the lyrics to one of the songs that's on the record.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it says it right there on the back, Bob Dylan, and
Wow.
yeah, and a couple of years ago I added music to it in the last verse, and it's a hit
Wow.
among old
Yeah. And the
folk
timing is
singing
great
people.
now because of obviously Bob Dylan's Nobel Prize for Literature.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm
No.
just thrilled
Yeah,
for him.
which is well deserved for him. He certainly he's an icon.
He's an icon. I also think it's a marvelous a testament to progress, because the society has been somewhat stodgy,
Hmm.
and I really didn't think he would get it because literally, yeah,
Yeah.
he's not in literature, and I'm so happy. This was a real bright light
Mm.
in sort of a dark period
Yes.
for
Yes.
our culture.
Absolutely. Britta Lee Shain joining us on Recovery Coast to Coast. We're going to close out the interview with a song from the CD. The song is called I'm Here. Tell me about the song.
Very briefly, has nothing to do with Bob. It was but a very painful incident that, as we know, those of us in recovery, when you have these painful incidents, it can bring up every other painful incident that you've ever gone through. And I went to such a dark place that I was
How
never
long
going to
ago?
play again about 2 years ago.
Mm.
And I was never going to play music again and all of that. And when I did finally pick up the guitar about a month after this incident, I this song spilled out, and it can be interpreted as a love song, but in truth it was a song to my inner child.
Mm. A love song to your inner child?
It is a love song. We should all have a love song to our inner
Oh
child.
my goodness, Brita! It has been so nice seeing you again. I wish you all the best with the CD and with the book. And let's close it out with "I'm Here." And right after that, we'll take a short time out and be back on the other side. Britta Lee Shain.
If I could fill you up, I would do anything to make you feel good. Lift you up from the bottom of the darkest sea. If I could take you home today, back to that place you'd wanna stay, I would take you with me. It's no wonder the sky is falling, children on their knees all bawling. This world has seen a better day. But I've got news for you. There's nothing I wouldn't do. I'm here, and here's where I'm gonna stay. If I could make this life be enough to get you in and out of the rough, I'd strike a match to the candle in your heart. Then I'd wave a magic baton to make you all that you wanna become, and I'd christen you a perfect work of art. It's no wonder the sky is falling, children on their knees all bawling. This world has seen a better day. But I've got news nothing wouldn't do. I'm here, and here's where I'm gonna stay. I know a fierce wind's blowing. I know that it's tough going, but baby, we can see it through. There's times I want to end it. It feels too torn to mend it, but honey, that's why I have you. If I could make it right for you, undo all the wrongs you knew, I'd shine a light on the scars and the wounds you wear. I'd swaddle you in the sun, bathe your soul in the love of everyone. I would gladly die for you, I swear. It's no wonder the sky is falling, children on their knees all falling. This world has seen a better day. But I've got news for you. There's nothing I wouldn't do. I'm here, and here's where I'm gonna stay. Here I am, and here's where I'm